Thank you for tuning in to V News. Coming up next, we have your top stories. Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng begins official visit to Japan. Vietnam News Agency celebrates its 70th founding anniversary. Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Văn Ninh continues his working trip to Europe. General Secretary of the Communist Party of Vietnam Nguyễn Phú Trọng began his official visit to Japan on September 15 as guest of Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. The visit is aimed at deepening the Vietnam-Japan extensive strategic partnership for peace and prosperity in Asia. The party chief was welcomed at Haneda International Airport by leaders of the Japanese Foreign Ministry, Vietnamese Ambassador Nguyễn Quốc Cường, the Vietnamese embassy staff, and representatives of the Vietnamese community in the country. Afterwards, an official welcome ceremony for Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng was held at the Akasaka State Guest House. Prime Minister Shinzo Abe presided over the ceremony. The visit takes place at a time when bilateral relations have been flourishing. Vietnam and Japan established diplomatic ties in September 1973. In 2014, two-way trade exceeded $27.6 billion, of which Vietnam's exports exceeded $14.7 billion and imports at nearly $13 billion. In the first half of this year, the figure reached $13.9 billion. The Northern Province of Hòa Bình convened its 16th Party Congress on September 15th. State President Trương Tấn Sang attended the event, among many others.
In his opening speech, Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, Bùi Văn Tỉnh, highlighted the significant achievements the province has reaped over the past 5 years. He also admitted some shortcomings facing the province, such as its small economy, low economic growth and competitiveness, fragmented agricultural production, and small-scale industrial operations. To achieve the annual economic growth target of 8.5 to 9%, Tỉnh said the province will undertake measures to accelerate the restructuring of its economy, public investment, and state-owned enterprises. Having praised the province's achievements, President Sang stressed that Hòa Bình needs to find out solutions to the shortcomings by implementing strategic breakthroughs, restructuring the economy, and renewing its growth model. The state leader also urged the locality to speed up its administrative reforms and improve the investment climate so as to woo more domestic and foreign investors.
The Vietnam News Agency organized a ceremony on September 15th to celebrate its 70th founding anniversary and received the Order of Independence First Class for the second time. Prominent at the event were Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng and many other leaders and former leaders of the party and state.
On September 15, 1945, the agency published the Declaration of Independence written by President Ho Chi Minh globally in the Vietnamese, English, and French languages. The historical event marked its establishment. Speaking at the ceremony, Vietnam News Agency General Director Nguyễn Đức Lợi stressed that over the past 70 years, the agency's staff, including a large number of reporters and editors, have overcome a range of difficulties and challenges to fulfill their tasks and make contributions to national construction and protection. During the resistance wars against the French colonialists and U.S. imperialists, as many as 260 Vietnam News Agency's journalists, technicians, and staff laid down their lives. He noted that in the context of rapid development of the world's communications and information, the news agency will continue to renovate itself in all aspects.
The Vietnam News Agency, on one hand, has continued to ensure the supply of information to serve the state and party's leadership, management, and governance. On the other hand, it has constantly renovated itself to keep up with other regional and global news agencies. It is one of the first agencies to successfully implement the integration of information processing and delivery, an initial step towards becoming a communications complex.
On behalf of the party and state leaders, Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng congratulated the agency's staff on the great achievements over the past 7 decades.
To uphold its role, the Vietnam News Agency needs to continue trying its best to produce more quality journalism works which help orient the public opinion. The agency should also strengthen the application of advanced technology and develop different journalism genres in order to become a strong national multimedia complex by 2025.
On this occasion, Prime Minister Dũng presented the Order of Independence First Class to the Vietnam News Agency. This is the second time it has received the noble title.
The same day, the General Department of Defense Industry under the Ministry of Defense also celebrated its 70th anniversary. Prime Minister Nguyễn Tấn Dũng attended the event.
This day 70 years ago, the Military Weapon Division, the predecessor of the General Department of Defense Industry, were established. Having undergone two fierce resistance wars against the French colonialists and American imperials, the department staff provided tens of thousands of tons of weapons to battlefields, greatly contributing to the success of the country's revolutionary cause. Addressing the ceremony, Prime Minister Dũng said, amidst complicated developments in the changing regional and world situations, the cause of national defense and construction will see both advantages and challenges, and the sector will face heavier tasks. Prime Minister Dũng requested the department to focus on building a military industry of renovation and modernization, speeding up reform and enhancing efficiency of defense industry enterprises. The government leader also asked the department to pay attention to training personnel, conducting research, and applying scientific and technological advances in production. On this occasion, Prime Minister Dũng presented the title Hero of the Armed Force to the General Department of Defense Industry.
As part of his working visit to Europe, Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Văn Ninh had bilateral meetings with global economic leaders in Switzerland to expand multifaceted collaboration between Vietnam and economic organizations. More details coming up next. Speaking at the opening session of the 62nd UN Conference on Trade and Development, Deputy Prime Minister Ninh said in 1990, Vietnam was considered one of the most impoverished countries, with foreign debt amounting to 146% of its GDP. In 1993, Vietnam carried out negotiations on restructuring foreign debt. After a decade of active implementation, the country has almost had no overdue debts. That is one of the reasons overseas sponsors continually supply development capital to Vietnam. Earlier the same day, Deputy Prime Minister Ninh met Secretary General of the UN Conference on Trade and Development, Mukhisha Kituyī. The Vietnamese leader suggested further cooperation between the two sides, particularly in research, trade and investment, and support for the WTO trade negotiations. For his part, Kituyī hailed Vietnam's significant achievements in the renewal process and expressed his delight at the positive developments in bilateral cooperation in debt management, the environment, transport, and supporting small and medium-sized enterprises. The Deputy Prime Minister later met World Trade Organization Director General Roberto Azevedo, who recognized the role of Vietnam in the international community and pledged to support Vietnam in its international integration for the sake of member countries and the global economy. While meeting leaders of the Advisory Center on WTO law, Deputy Prime Minister Ninh expressed his hope that the center will continue assisting Vietnam in supplying legal services and consultations to mitigate encountered disputes in handling lawsuits, as well as help Vietnamese legal officials better understand and more effectively deal with international trade issues. 14 Vietnamese enterprises are showcasing the best of their agricultural products at the ongoing international food exhibition World Food in Moscow. Our reporters with more details.
The event has attracted hundreds of businesses working in the food and beverage industry from 36 countries and the host, Russia. It features 11 exhibition sections, including meat and poultry, fish and seafood, fruits and vegetables, confectionery, oils, fats and sauces, dairy products, and tea and coffee. Canned vegetables, frozen seafood, milk and beverages are among the Vietnamese products being introduced at World Food Moscow. Vietnam's signing of a free trade agreement with the Eurasian Economic Union, of which Russia is a member, presents numerous opportunities for Vietnamese firms. World Food Moscow, held annually since 1992, will run through September 17.
The Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam has requested domestic airlines and ground service providers to strictly protect personal information of their passengers. More in the following.
The move came after many individuals and organizations reported violations of their rights to information confidentiality to the authority. They complained that their personal information and details of their flights had been leaked to others without their consent. Such information has been used for different purposes, infringing upon passengers' privacy and disturbing their travel. The authority requests the domestic airlines and ground commercial and technical service providers to ensure passengers' information confidentiality and not disclose any information related to the passengers unless required by competent agencies. Carriers and service providers were also asked to review and tighten regulations and procedures to ensure passenger information security.
The Asia-Pacific Military Health Exchange 2015 is underway in the central city of Da Nang. With the theme Global Health Cooperation, the program runs from September 14 to 18th.
The event is attended by 500 delegates from 24 countries and territories worldwide and the International Committee on Military Medicine. It offers a chance for Asia-Pacific medical scientists and experts to share experience, thus promoting cooperation in military health in particular and healthcare more broadly. It also serves as a venue for participating countries and territories to discuss measures to bolster their connections in preventing disasters and diseases and providing humanitarian assistance, especially in areas related to global health security. As many as 130 scientific reports are scheduled to be presented at the event, focusing on external and internal medicine, infections, disease prevention, community health care, personnel training, traditional medicine, and application of advanced technology in healthcare. Vietnam has set up ties in the military medicine with more than 30 countries.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the EU delegation in Vietnam have co-hosted a workshop in central Da Nang City to review bilateral relations and share experience in responding to climate change.
During the two-day event that concluded on September 15th, participants were provided with information about the EU and its policies on coping with climate change. The workshop introduced the EU's mechanisms and policies for Asia, which aim to improve the capability of Vietnamese cadres and agencies in response to and research on climate change. The panels also set forth solutions by building energy efficiency policies and a network to deal with the reality, thus contributing to the successful development of the Partnership Cooperation Agreement between Vietnam and the EU. Vietnam and the EU have jointly run a number of cooperative programs on climate change, renewable energy, and environmental protection.
Quảng Ninh Province has unveiled a monument to cosmonaut hero German Titov on an island in Hạ Long Bay.
German Titov is known as the pilot of the Vostok East second spacecraft, which was launched just 4 months after the first journey into outer space by the Soviet Union's Yuri Gagarin in 1961. He was the first person to photograph the Earth, conduct biomedical experiments, and communicate via radio from space. In 1962, Titov visited Vietnam at the invitation of President Ho Chi Minh, who accompanied the cosmonaut to Hạ Long Bay, where they named island number 48 Titov, Vietnam's pronunciation of the cosmonaut's name. The monument is expected to strengthen the traditional relations between the two countries, along with cooperation between Russian localities and Quảng Ninh.
And that was the end of our news bulletin. Thank you for your attention. As always, we aim to bring you the latest events of the day. We'll see you again soon.